Welcome to Remade in California. I'm career coach Pat Pattison. This is a show about reinvention, inspiration, and transformation. Tools you can use if you're launching a new career or business or simply reinventing yourself. Our expert guests help us explore new ideas, educational programs, and job resources available to you right here in California. Our show today covers California job training and what you need to know about choosing your career path. During this show, we'll be discussing the booming drone industry with Josh Friedman and the expected 100,000 person job growth. Also this half hour, Joshua Friedenberg will share his insights on the importance of leadership and how your education can help you build your future and make a difference. Up first, let's meet Sean Gloomis. Sean is foremost an educator and California statewide assistant provider for career pathways. Sean, that is a mouthful. So explain what you do in the California education system.
So my job here in California is to connect the dots through all of our sector industries. So in California, in the community colleges, we have about 10 sectors. They range from agriculture to ICT, digital media, global trade. And me and my partner, so I have a partner that also handles half the state with me, we connect the dots. Yes, it is. So I handle everything north of Bakersfield. She handles everything south of Bakersfield. We have 113 schools in the community college system, but we also have all the K through 12s as well. So our job is to make those connections between the career pathways with those K through 12s and our community colleges. And it's a big state, so there's a lot going on. But in the end, our job is to make sure those connections happens. We connect those dots throughout.
Okay, and I think, we talked a little bit before, I think sometimes there's a perception that California doesn't know what they're doing and there's not enough money. So explain what the reality in the K through 12 situation is in your area.
So currently in the state of California, we have about $6.5 billion, that is with a B, billion dollars going into career technical education.
Isn't that great? Wow.
So a lot of viewers out there would think, oh, vocational. So those traditional courses like wood shop, metal shop, what else? Plastics, electronics, those types of courses that over the last 30 years, because of the academic push, and to be very blunt about this, I'm Gen X, I'm 40 years old.
Sure.
So sorry, throw my age out there.
No, that's great.
But I was one of the last generations to have all of that in our high schools and our middle schools as well.
Vocational training.
Vocational training.
Yeah.
So a lot of the viewers out there think of this as vocational, but it really is career technical education. And because of the pullback of funding in the last 5-10 years, and really over the last 30 years, the emphasis on everyone needs to go to college.
Okay.
Otherwise, you're a failure. I mean, I'll be very blunt about
Sure.
that.
No, I think that's great.
And so now there's about 1 million jobs in the state of California that we do not have trained workers to fill.
Wow.
We have people. We have the warm bodies in the state of California. So we're looking outside California. We're looking at Mexico and Canada, as well as other states like Florida and Illinois.
So what you're saying is there's opportunities. We just need to get the people up and running. I mean, you used to be able to go and take metal shop and various things at a community college, and that's kind of gone away.
We became transfer schools.
Right.
To the 4 years.
Everybody wanted to feel like I'm doing something more.
Everyone wanted to go to college.
Right.
And it was that drive of if you don't go to college, then what are you doing with your life?
So it sounds like there was an overcorrection.
Yes, we swung too far one way.
Okay.
And now with this money that's going on in California, as well as the entire country, we have federal legislation, WIOA. I won't get into all the acronyms.
Sure.
But we have federal legislation that's driving state legislation as well as local, that all this money as well as federal money is now being poured back into the K through 12s as well as the community colleges to create these opportunities for people in the state.
And I assume take a little of the stigma off of, you're going to learn a trade and you're going to go to work. Because of the recession, the bloom's a little off that rose about a 4-year college means financial independence or financial affluence.
And
so
that's where
you're responding to that to a certain degree.
Exactly. That's the response from our government, because the studies show that, once again, we're short 1 million workers.
Wow, 1 million workers. So the certification programs, tell us how that works at the community colleges.
So we have AA degrees, so associate arts degrees, which most people are familiar with. They're the first step to a bachelor's degree.
Right.
All the schools offer those. Then we have our certificates at the local schools, and those are usually within career tech programs. So digital media is a very good example. You would have a Photoshop, Illustrator, graphic design certificate. But what the industry was also looking for is very specialized certifications. So welding is a very good example of that. If you want to become a welder, you get the AWS, the American Welding certification.
Okay.
That's what the community colleges would offer.
And is that needed to get a job, or is it help you get a job?
It can help, or it's needed.
Okay.
In some fields like police, you need to be post-certified, those types of things.
It's a very specific thing.
So either it helps, it gives you the leg up that you need to market yourself in the industry, or you actually have to be certified or licensed as well, like cosmetology, barber. We call those third-party certifications, but they're licensing in the state of California.
And sometimes there might be private certification available, but here's a very affordable way to do that instead through our own system.
Yes, like the Adobe Certified Associate exams are a really good example of a third party that issues exams. So the school becomes a testing center, and then we offer those. And one of the big things that's happening in California that I've been involved in is those certifications cost money. In the case of the Adobe ones, it could be upwards of $200 a test. By buying site-wide licensing using that money, that's $6.5 billion, we bring equity to the classroom as well. So people who could normally maybe not afford the $200 test, we offer it for free at the school to all of our students, our staff, and everyone else.
The creative economy, talk about that and how people can
So the creative economies
access that through community colleges
is really a label that's being used not only in our system but across the world. It's not just, oh, I'm a camera operator, or I'm an editor, or I'm a graphic designer. It's knowing all those skill sets and looking at not just the Hollywood and the digital media side of the world, but your corporate environment as well. It's using your creativity in your job every day.
Yeah, there's a tendency to think in terms of the Hollywood creative movie stuff, but there's much more. Is it bigger? Is it the same kind of the?
It's actually bigger than our what we call our entertainment industry. There's lots of corporate jobs out there doing corporate video, drone flying, that falls into that as well.
We're going to get into that with Josh. Yeah.
Real estate is another huge area as well.
Okay. Who would come in and access that maybe from high school?
So actually a really good example of that is I taught web design for the last 17 years. And we do have certification in that as well through Adobe for Dreamweaver. And we would have, in the last 5 or 10 years, we've been seeing more and more people coming in to learn Photoshop as well as web design, Adobe Illustrator, Adobe InDesign. And they're not your traditional graphic design or digital media students. These are students who have full-time jobs. Dentistry is actually a really good example of this.
Wow, okay.
So you have a website built for a dentist office, which is usually WordPress. Someone needs to take photos and edit them.
I hadn't even thought of that would be a whole area where people
need
can make a living. Yeah.
And so the person who works the front desk inherits the website. They inherit taking the photos. They inherit putting together the brochures, maybe from another designer, but the designer doesn't do them for full time. They want to train them and have them do it. So they come back to the community college to actually learn those skill sets and get certified.
It's amazing you say that, because I remember a person that during the recession was laid off as a paralegal and came back. It was at Golden West. Came back and learned how to do websites for lawyers, because it was a world she knew. So just like you're saying, so that would be
applying new skill sets to the knowledge you already have in an industry.
Okay. Now, did those fall into some of the skill gap jobs? Or?
And that is one of those areas that we're having. We call it ICT digital media, which includes IT and everything else. But it's the skills that they need to get back into the workforce, or to enhance and actually get a raise or move on in their career.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit more about the WIOA.
So WIOA is the workforce.
WIOA.
Well, it used to be WIA. So
All these
WIOA. So WIOA, and it's the Workforce Investment Opportunity Act.
Okay.
And it is federal legislation. And
so this is where it comes into the state.
It was one of the few bipartisan bills that passed in the last 8 years. It went into effect about 1.5 years ago. And it changes the way we approach workforce funding as well as education. And it really, 75% of that money needs to be targeted to 16 to 24-year-olds that are not in school, that are not working. And so that is a large percentage of our population as well. So those funding through workforce development boards, your local one-stops, it's to get people back to work, and living wage jobs. That's another key component of all this. Skilled living wage jobs, so they can actually have a career.
Is it working?
We're still in the early stages.
Okay.
The local plans are not finished yet, and
Okay.
they're due early next year. The state plans have gone through. One of the big things that came from it is defining what a career pathway is.
Okay.
So my job is career pathways. There's 1,000 definitions in the world out there. And so the federal plan has a definition, so does the state. Now we actually have something to rally behind.
That's
when we're out in the
exciting.
field.
For more information on Sean and jobs in California, visit careerpathwaysca.com. Still to come, Joshua Friedenberg knows what it takes for you to be a great leader in today's workforce. Up next, I talk with Josh Friedman about the future of the drone industry. You don't want to miss it.